Steininger. I'm one of the fellows in Amsterdam, and I'll tell you one of the tell you about one of the 3 projects in Amsterdam that we're working on. And Amsterdam has 7 districts, and 3 of them won a spot on the challenge list, and they were selected by the organizers for Code for Europe. And one of the districts is the East, and specifically part of the East District called the Indische Buurt, which stands for the Indian neighborhood. So our challenge in this area was about matching supply and demand for social accommodations. And what is meant by that is cultural events, education opportunities, gathering spaces, community initiatives, or any place that people can use for social activities, community-based events, etc. We engaged with various people in the neighborhood to try to identify what is really the need, what is the spectrum of needs. We talked to the citizens, social active citizens, organizers. We met some community centers. We started working with one called the Maypart, and tried to identify the needs. It was a very difficult process because everybody had the whole big list of what they thought was needed, and we kind of latched on early on to one specific need in one community center, which is to organize what they do and expose it to the public so that what they are intending to offer is actually visible and available. So we started, we interviewed people in the neighborhood and in that community center, and we started developing some low-fidelity prototypes, first on paper, then we transferred them to balsamic, and created, just want to show you a couple of screens from that we designed. And we spent a couple of weeks developing first iteration of what we call a booking tool, a booking system where people can request a room in one of the community centers in the neighborhood, and somebody from that community center will take that request, process it the way they used to process it, and offer them something. Usually somebody from the neighborhood would have to pay something, but in some cases they get it for free. So here's a confirmation screen when somebody can see their requests. There's a room inventory, very basic stuff, dashboard for administrators. Like I said, we had a couple of challenges. We had challenges identifying and selecting an opportunity that's both meaningful and feasible. We have very little time, and we have 3 challenges. We work 3 days a week, and there's 2 developers, one design on the team. And it was something we ran into along the way. I was identifying who is the key decision maker, because these organizations are very kind of loosely formed and quite informal, and there's no single person, but in any community there's always a de facto leader or 2 that are kind of holding everybody's votes because they're respecting the community. We've come across a lot of communication issues and being misunderstood, and kind of a lot of levels. So, but we worked through them, and we're going to continue working on that challenge. So our plan was to complete the booking part and connect it to, in some ways, not necessarily integrate the systems, and expose a public calendar of events so that people can find what's going on in their neighborhood, not just for that community center, but all of the community centers. There's about 5 or 6 of them, serving 22,000 inhabitants, and add functionality to allow residents to publish their initiatives, because there's a lot of people that want to do something, but they don't know how to get started. They don't know if it's even worth starting a yoga club or aerobics class, because they don't know if there's 10 or 15 people willing to pay €10 per session or something like that. So that's our opportunity, and that's it for my update, and we're going to take on the next challenge.
So we get 5 minutes for our presentations this time, right? Which I think is about 3 minutes longer than we had last time. But actually actually like 2 minutes last time, is probably about right. So in Manchester, just a brief recap on what my particular project is as part of this, which is working with the Manchester Partnership, which is 3 museums and art galleries in Manchester. So that's Manchester Art Gallery, Manchester Museum, and Whitworth Art Gallery. And we've been looking at the brief is very, very open, which was to do something interesting, code-based, to benefit these 3 organisations. Now, there's a bit of a backstory here in that one of the reasons for the Manchester Partnership why these 3 museums are together under the same banner is that they are jointly funded by the Arts Council. They get a tranche of cash for every 3 years from the Arts Council to support what they're doing. One of the key performance indicators for them receiving the most recent tranche of cash was to look at opening up their data and working with open data and starting to sort of introduce more sort of interesting sort of digital projects into what they're doing. And so I sort of stepped into this sort of very much at the kind of the beginning of this whole sort of project. They've got they're working with the university to kind of look at, I guess, how do they combine work with this collections data. And I kind of sort of dropped into this as kind of sort of someone who's kind of can move kind of sort of fairly frictionless. Don't have any of the sort of institutional sort of friction to kind of sort of deal with. It's just me, so kind of organisationally quite frictionless as well. So I've got a good remit to kind of get in and sort of build some interesting stuff. So at the moment, I've very much at the beginning of it. At the moment, treating the 3 organisations like a black box. So 3 different organisations, very sort of different kind of institutionally. So just at the moment, kind of figuring out sort of who to talk to and what about, and what the different kind of curators, the different kind of collections people, the senior management of these different museums and art galleries, what they would potentially want. So we see this very much as an opportunity to kind of sort of set an agenda for what they're doing next with this kind of data. So that's pretty much it. I've been having a lot of meetings. Been talking to collections people. I've been organising access to the raw collections data. Again, sort of kind of going through this sort of process of kind of opening up data which was originally intended very much for internal use. So the collections data, so you're talking about sort of tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of entries. In the case of Manchester Art Gallery, we're talking about 4.5 million entries. In the case of Manchester Museum, with all the various stuff that they have in the collections, which ranges from sort of entomology and zoology, so sort of like kind of insects and animals and birds that they can stuffed, right through to sort of paintings, through to sort of artworks on pieces of paper, drawings, just across it's like wallpapers, textiles, kind of all sorts, just loads of stuff. So at the minute I'm kind of just kind of arranging access to all these different databases and kind of figuring out how to pull this data together and what we can do with it and who for and why. So that's pretty much it. And I suppose I should say that one of the reasons that I've been slowing down a little bit is actually I've been working on open data projects as a side of this, which is the linked data, UK government linked data, which I talked about before. That's what I've been working on this week. So releasing data from the Department for Communities and Local Government, working on kind of the linked data platform for all of that. So that's an aside. Kind of linked, but not directly part of all of this. So that's pretty much where I'm at.
My challenge is about making captive Wi-Fi network access easier, and I'm pretty sure you all know what a captive network is, so I'm going to recap key aspects briefly. I'm talking about public access networks, the ones we're finding out of research universities in here. They are subscription-based access networks, so you have to have a set of credentials and you have to authenticate using a captive portal. This authentication is browser-based, so you have to actively open your browser and use your credentials, and they usually limited on use by time, in terms of time and bandwidth. Okay, to me, this approach has some drawbacks for UX. The first one, user account proliferation. It is a problem that is related to our entire digital life, but I think we can do something on Wi-Fi networks in order to avoid this. User interaction is always needed, so you have to open your browser. You can count on your device to actively recognize a captive portal and log in automatically. And when your device knows the network you're going to connect with, make you offline silently, because you have to open your browser. So the device thinks you are connected to the internet, but you're not. And it is a problem, because if you count on push notifications for your work, you're offline, so you won't get anything. Okay, what makes access easier in the context of Code for Europe? The first reason is why users want to access public networks easily. And you can try Google or the Joint Captive portal, and you will find plenty of questions on forums on how to solve this problem, and mainly from students from universities, for example. Fraunhofer FOKUS is a provider. We have Provincia Wi-Fi, that is a captive Wi-Fi network, and we're trying to improve the way people access to the network. And Free Europe Wi-Fi, that is a project from Bottom-Up Broadband, is trying to give free internet Wi-Fi to any citizen in Europe. So maybe the app we're going to develop will help Free Europe Wi-Fi to achieve that goal, so they can benefit from it. How to make it easier? We thought about a small platform that is simple. So we have an application, a mobile app that is Android-based at the moment, but we're going to release an iOS version 2, and a counterpart that is a web service based on what we call a captive API. So we call it at the moment Wi-Fi over login. That is not a great name, so we're open to better brand names. And features of the Android app are let the user start and stop the background service that listen to variations in network statuses. The app is a credential wallet, so you can save your credentials for every Wi-Fi network you join. And just because the app runs manually in the background, when the app discovers a Wi-Fi network that has a captive portal, tries to auto-login without your intervention, without your interaction. From the server side, we have an API that has two main features. The first one is introspection. So the web service recognizes the app making requests and tell the app what the API version for the server is and what the required credentials are. So you have to use username and password, and can provide a list of the rated networks, so you can use the same login, same credentials to access more than one Wi-Fi network. The example is about Provincia Wi-Fi that is based on OpenWisp. That is a platform you can use to deploy your own Wi-Fi network, and OpenWisp is used on Provincia Wi-Fi in Genova and a couple of other administrations that are ISPs. The other features are related to sign in and sign out methods. Okay, take stuff. Mobile Android app is going to be developed using PhoneGap for the front end, and native code for the background service that listens to variations in network states. And web technologies and frameworks are the one we can use with PhoneGap in order to develop the front end. captive API is a RESTful API, so we're going to release specification for the API, and first implementation will be in OpenWisp as a web service. Pilot studies and roadmap. As you may see, we're going to design and develop both the app and the API, and deploy at least on 2 different Wi-Fi networks, provincial Wi-Fi and another one based on OpenWisp. That's it. Thanks.
The second project we are working on is the project in the West District, and we are working with the program called Neighborhood Practice Team, and this is one of the picture of the team where in a specific neighborhood the professions from different organizations come together, collaborating together to solve specific problem in the neighborhood, also creating a positive more influence to the specific neighborhood. So people sitting in this room, they are from police, from youth organization, city district, youth organization, and so on. So like more than 7 organizations are working together to do a lot of different kind of small and big project with citizens. So what they are asking to us is they want to have more information system supporting their practice, because the information system they already have, like for example, infrared registration system at the city hall doesn't support their particular practice. They want to have more light and system they can share information each other. Also, they want to know, they want to be up to date what we are doing right now, because there's no such tool to helping coordinating their behavior. So what we have done so far, we have engaged with many different level of people in different level. For example, we've been engaging with the staff members, we also engage with team leader, also there is the manager of this program, there's a director of the city domain, and everybody has quite slightly different angle for this program. This is a new program in Amsterdam, and it's also raised by the political tension of this project, because it's a very new types of practice that ask multiple organizations working together. And so we've been since a month ago we start looking at what kind some system level, what kind of concept we could test with these people, and then there is we struck into the problem of the privacy issue, because there are what they ask us is sharing information between organizations, and which is currently not possible originally because information is locked by individual organization. But recently they set up a new policy that allows this organization to exchange information. So we try to find a way that allow us to experiment and design and work with them to let us build and test the information system. Yeah, that's the topic. Thanks.
This is an update about one of the pilots we are working on in Rome for the Code of Europe project. A quick presentation of our pilot. It's an idea that starts from the project by province of Rome. The purposes of these projects are to improve the provincial Wi-Fi network and involving the citizens in this activity. Provincial Wi-Fi is a free public Wi-Fi network made of access points installed in public places of the province of Rome, so in squares, parks, libraries. It's based on a software that's called OpenWisp, an open source software platform that can be used to implement Wi-Fi services and can be reused elsewhere, not only Rome. So there are already already installed access points in the province of Rome. And the province of Rome is planning to add access points to this network and wants to ask for citizens' participation in order to decide where to install them. So an application was needed in order to achieve this goal. An application that will have to collect citizens' proposals about the location where the new hotspots will have to be installed, and an application through which citizens will vote on these proposals, so that at the end of the process the hotspots will be installed in the most voted locations. This project will have to be also disseminated in other places, so it will have to be reusable in other free public Wi-Fi networks. So first it will be deployed on provincial Wi-Fi, then extended to Italia Wi-Fi, then we hope to Europe Wi-Fi. During the meetings during the CTSDK and Conf Europe meetings, other ideas came up, like trying to use this project to foster new ways to shorten the distance between local governments and citizens, improve the quantity and quality of open data published by local authorities, and making use of crowdsourcing to generate new open data. So the idea is to extend the initial purpose related to the free Wi-Fi system to create a model that can be useful also in other scenarios, trying to build the prototype of a more general civic participation platform. Some usage examples could be the publication or the crowdsourcing related to job offers or training courses, or the signaling of abandoned buildings that could be reused for social needs, or surveys on public services from local authorities. So the basic purposes of the pilot is collecting POIs, point of interest suggestions from the users, make users vote about these proposals, and collecting comments or ratings on already existing point of interest. So its features will be to have a web interface where one can display, where the point of interest can be displayed, already existing point of interest, and where users can insert point of interest. User can vote point of interest, comment them, and rate them. There will have to be an administrator interface for importing existing point of interest in the application, for defining categories related to this point of interest, and to customize the web user interface. I conclude with some technical details. We are forking an already existing project from a free wireless community network based in Rome that is called Linux. And this community will also be useful to test the applications when we will start to deploy it. It will be based on the Django framework with an HTML5 interface. And so the goals are to deploy it on provincial Wi-Fi and Linux networks, and the Linux network, the reusability in other public free Wi-Fi networks, and the prototyping of a civic participation platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
For an update for what we've been doing in Helsinki regarding the Navigator project. Since the last time we have new cities participating, so one of the fellows from Manchester, Olli, has also joined our report. And as well, another city in Finland, Tampere, has hired some people to collaborate with us in this Navigator project. We've set up this developer portal, which now has links to our resources. For instance, some information about this Routes to the Future Innovation Challenge entry that we made with Juha and Olli. So actually we won the best use of real-time data there in the hackathon by creating this prototype. So So it's not really what we want the navigator to be, but we've been prototyping some of the technical areas that we're not so familiar with. So for instance, we've created an HTML5 application and implemented a map interface. So here are just a few screenshots of what it looks like at the moment. So in the first front page, you have three ways to access the navigation. Either you type an address about where you want to go, or you can browse a directory of the nearest services, or then you can simply go and browse the map and click where you want to go on the map. And the use case is that you're already on the go, so you don't have to enter your starting point. It's always where the device is at the moment. And then in the second picture, you can see that after you've entered the address, you will then be shown on the map the suggested planned route. For instance, here, taking the bus number 3, and we have this counter telling you that the bus is leaving in 2 minutes and 25 seconds, so there's this counter giving you an idea of if you're in a hurry or not. Also, we added some real-time features. So these other bus icons there, they're actually moving in real time using the real-time API that some cities have available for public transport. Then in the third picture, there's the example of what the service browsing looks like. So here the user has selected the nearest library, and it automatically gives one route to the very nearest library, but it also shows other options, and if the user just taps one of the icons, then he or she will directly get another route to this other library. So to just quickly, maybe the services. So we have some of the information from the city service directories and some from OpenStreetMap using the locked city SDK API. So for instance, this information comes originally from OpenStreetMap, say the nearest supermarkets. And this is now in the center of Tampere. I also set up a demo quickly for Berlin, but unfortunately we don't have the Berlin point of interest data loaded here. But I think we can try to calculate a route between, let's say, from there to here. And here we have some suggestion. First walking a bit, then taking the bus 221, transferring to bus 122, and then take the U8 and to the destination. Right, so this is pretty much what we have done this far. Well, very recently I've been working on this automated testing system, so this would be something to, I think, discuss in one of the small groups together if others are thinking about automated testing, or I'm not very knowledgeable about it, so if you know something about it, I'd love to hear from you. Thanks.
So for the update on the first project that the Amsterdam Fellowship is working on, this is the South District, South Stadsdeel, and we had a mission that was to enable and encourage visitors to explore outside of the centers of Amsterdam. And what we've been doing in this past time is doing investigation of what data was available to us. Especially, it's not real-time data, definitely. There's a lot of data, but it's tourist surveys mainly. But it's interesting to see that there are some aspects that owner in the city, and we thought we could tackle this aspect for our concept. So what we figured out was how to get information from the event organizers, how to connect with and engage tourists in visiting some unknown, previously unknown parts of the city. And we figured out that the scavenger hunt as a concept with storytelling was an interesting aspect to explore. And from that we could collect data that would be real-time or semi-real-time, definitely improving the information that the tourist board now has. So the concept for the scavenger hunt is shown. So it's how do you get visitors going from one place to another and seeing new aspects of the city. So in this case, for who is not familiar with the city, the Wonder Park would be the starting point. It's a very crowded park. And how do you route tourists and see Safati Park, which is as interesting and as pretty, and maybe also find out some other interesting places during the route. So one idea was, looking at the price at the end, the reward could be an ice cream, as figured there, but something more tangible, just something fun. We've been lucky to work with not just our runner from the Stadsdal, but also from the Amsterdam Tourist Board, the Amsterdam marketing team, and we asked them to come up with 5 routes and 5 attractions on each. And we are about to expose the attractions into the visitors through location-based platform, and the third step will be to collect and measure the check-in info of visitors. We have some itineraries, they are related to certain topics, like green route towards the parks, a sports route for the Olympic Stadium, an architectural route, shopping route with various shopping districts in the southern part of Amsterdam. So we have been sketching a map of trails with the information we've been provided from our runner and the person we're working with. And well, we have been giving proactive feedback, if you wish. So this is a GPS trace of our exploration, if you wish, of the part of Amsterdam we didn't know before coming to Amsterdam 4 months ago. We have a deadline for a first step, if you wish, of the project. It is the 24 hours out. It's an event that is held at the end of June. Feel free to visit. And there will be a showcase of an app we will come up with. And we have some questions we need to get answers to. And will people participate? Will people love the experience? And most of all, is this the type of engagement they are looking for? This kind of type of. But we feel that it's an interesting opportunity to find out. And this is cool. So our next steps and current steps actually is implementing the scavenger hunt proposal in a technical way, like an app, and later automating this process, so make it reusable, not just related to a certain event, and not just needing human help for interaction with the user, but making it long-lasting and making it reusable for other cities, so that it can be easily implemented anywhere. So basically the point is exploring game concept and techniques, and this is something we like to share with all the fellows in the next. Okay.
Yeah, hello and welcome. My name is Alan Meyer. I'm working here at Fraunhofer FOKUS for the Commons for Europe and Code for Europe project. And for that we are collaborating with the Ethnological Museum of Berlin, because they have big amounts of digitalized pictures that are not tagged yet. So the problem is that users are not able to search through these pictures. And our ideas, and what we are right now developing, is a crowdsourcing application which will solve this problem. In these applications, the pictures are being saved on a web server, and then the pictures are shown in random orders to the users. For each picture, the users should select a category or put in a tag, or the users should verify a tag by selecting yes or no to see if a tag fits, or if a picture fits to a tag or a category. As well, this application will have an interface for co-workers of the museum. In this interface, the co-workers of the museum will be able to add or delete pictures to the database, to add or delete categories, or to edit user tags. The whole application should be designed with a responsive design. That means that the application will look different on a desktop PC than on a tablet or a smartphone. And as well, the web application should be transferable to also get used by other museums or institutions which have the same problems with big amounts of digitalized pictures that are not tagged yet. As well, right now in development is an export functionality, so that the data that are saved in the database can be exported. At the moment, it's a CSV file that can how the data can get exported. And as well, we are developing a search engine that is able to search through these pictures which are already tagged by users. As well, in the application should be an auto-completion for the tags, so that users will get hints for a tag, and so it will be easier to put in some tags. The whole application should support multi-language, and very important is the last point we are right now developing. It's a motivation reward system for users, so it should motivate the users to use the application, and our idea is to give for each picture that the user is tagging some points, and if a user has tagged many pictures, he can fill in his name, and his name will then show up on a high score list. Right now I will show some pictures of the early stage development of the application. The whole design is still in development, so this is not the final version, but it's only to get an impression. Here you see the page where the picture is shown to the user, and where the users are able to select a category and put in a tag. Then if they put in a tag and category, they can hit the submit button. If they cannot say anything about the picture, there's a skip button to skip this picture. Here you see the open tab of the categories, which we got from the Ethnologie Museum of Berlin, from which the users can choose. On this screenshot you see the search engine. You can put in a keyword, and if the keyword is existing in the database, the pictures for which the keyword fits are shown to the user. This is an example of the responsive design, so you see how the web page is looking different on a small device like a smartphone in comparison to the desktop version, what you saw before. And here you can see the backend interface, which the co-workers of the museum can use. Here you see an example of the categories, and here the co-workers of the museum have the ability to edit the categories or delete categories. This is an example where the co-workers of the museum can upload the pictures to add new pictures to the database. Okay, this is everything so far. Thank you for your attention, and we hope we will be able to show you next time our final application and something more. Thank you.
The main part of that, I guess, in terms of updates since the meeting we had in London, we've taken the kind of civic commons software that was being developed by New Amsterdam Ideas, and I've been focusing a lot on doing further development work on that, multilingual support, adding multilingual support to it. And then just a number of other things around sort of improving the theming, adding sort of functionality to that and so on. So working very closely with sort of Sheldon, who's architect for the software as well. And so we've named that software now as OpenCivic and released that as a project on Drupal.org, so it's available as a kind of development version for distribution. So kind of just ongoing work there to continue that. So it's been sort of a little bit slower than we kind of hoped, but certainly kind of, you know, the progress is getting there. Also been working within London and found a kind of design agency to work with on actually doing some design work for the kind of Eurocom site. So they're just starting to kick off on some of that design work now. So I'm going to catch up with them next week and try and kind of move along. So hopefully over the next sort of month or so we'll get some design and we'll be able to then kind of build that in and start actually working on the Eurocom site kind of more directly. Take the OpenCivic software and build that. I think another sort of big part of the CivicCon stuff then is also, I mean that's all kind of about OpenCivic and kind of what, you know, providing the apps catalog, providing this kind of repository, that kind of thing. But then there's also this piece about maybe kind of the high level knowledge sharing stuff. And some of the patterns work that I've been experimenting with is sort of a little part of that. Myself and Heidi met up with Catherine Bracey from Code America in Oxford maybe a couple of weeks back now. Talked around a few things, but one thing was about the wiki, the sort of CivicCon wiki that they've been developing. So been trying to kind of explore that a bit and see how, you know, could that be used as a repository for kind of storing high-level patterns, more information about, you know, sharing at a high-level service level. And in conjunction with that, been talking with lots of the kind of local government people in the UK, people at the Local Government Association, LGA. We're going to have a meeting with them next Friday and try and kind of see, okay, how could we come up with, you know, could that be used, could the CivicCon wiki be used, or do we need something different for kind of high-level knowledge sharing around things like service design and that kind of thing. So if you take a problem, this is the kind of thing that you guys are kind of looking at, to take sort of specific problem area, how do you capture kind of solving it, and then kind of sharing all of the ideas of how to improve that. I think a kind of key date that we'll be focusing on will be there's going to be a local LGA, Local Government Association conference, which I think is early July, and Nest is going to have a big presence there. So I think that sort of taking the Code for Europe message there and taking the idea of the Europe Commons, showcasing that to a lot of the local government people and sort of see what the reception's like there will be something